great Bobby Belt.
You ruined the morning show.
Don't make me take off my belt.
Don't make me take off my belt.
We're not. Over to you, Bobby.
They were all in on Tuesday. Your Dallas Cowboys have 3 new football players. Big-time contributors. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. Bryan Broaddus is here to join us, though, and talk about it live from the tennis courts in Oxnard, and also give us a little bit of a recap from yesterday's practice and talk all things Dallas Cowboys. Bryan Broaddus, how are you, sir?
Doing well, boys. How about yourselves?
Great. Never
Super.
better.
Yeah, I see you guys irritate the heck out of Matt Pittman. I'll have to have a word with him about that.
I mean, I think it's more Chop because of how he cheered for the Astros. No, I think it's how Chop cheered for the Astros yesterday.
Bobby, you're kind of an irritating guy.
I mean, I am, but I think in this instance it's about Astros fandom from Choppy. Did you hear about what Choppy did yesterday?
What did Choppy do yesterday?
When it got to the 7th inning, he said he was actively rooting for the Astros to get the no-hitter.
No. Why?
First of all, I don't cheer at games. I don't make sounds. But, I just wanted to see it because I'd never seen a no-hitter before. So, I've been...
You know what? There is a point in time in the game where you do have to kind of think about that.
Yeah. And it wasn't before but prior to the 7th inning, I was like, no, because I think in the 4th or 5th, I tweeted out, this mofo better not to get this perfect game.
I kind of feel like that it gets... I'm that way. I would be that way at the 8th, but I don't know if I could do it for the Astros. I just don't.
That's a tough one. That's the tough one.
Have we got no hit more than any other team at their stadium? I mean,
lately,
to me, it seems.
Didn't we get no hit twice in a 2-week stretch?
Oh, it was crazy.
It was Musgrove and
somebody from Cleveland.
Kluber.
Somebody from Cleveland got us. Yeah, or Yankees. Somebody got us.
Yeah, it's not been a great stretch, and that's kind of been the way things have gone for the Rangers offense lately. But we're here to talk about football. Yeah. Also, I think I got your intro wrong, Brian, when I called you Bryan Broaddus, because that is not the name Greg Rosenthal called you by on the NFL Daily podcast yesterday. Yeah.
You messed my name up?
Listen.
We haven't talked about Trey Lance. I listened to this podcast with Bryan Broaddus and Bobby Belt, I believe. It was great. The podcast I mentioned, by the way, is called Love of the Star. I want to give them credit because I'm really getting a lot of this from them.
So Brian, which is the bigger deal, do you think? He had your name right at the ready. He just mispronounced it. Or was it mine where he had to reach for it and go, Bobby Belt, I think.
I feel sad he didn't know your name off the jump.
We work for the same employer.
I appreciate him listening to our podcast, though, and giving us the Love of the Star. We enjoy doing that podcast. Feel like that we bring some good information to it.
Absolutely. And I messaged him yesterday and said, thank you for the shout out. And
absolutely.
He hit back and said it's in his rotation now that he's listening to Love of the Star regularly. So we got a big fan in Greg Rosenthal. Brian, 2 linebackers signed yesterday, Nick Vigil and Darius Harris, and then the defensive tackle, Albert Huggins. Are these camp bodies? Are these guys to compete for the roster? What do you think the thought process was behind these moves?
Well, I guess who gets to do work after he gets off the show with you guys today? I get to sit down and watch tape of these cats and try and figure that out. We had the party, the Jerry party last night, so I had to go attend that. I didn't have a chance to. Didn't have a chance to watch my tape like I normally do when we bring players in. So I promise I'll have that up for the afternoon show. But yeah, it's interesting the combination though, because I kind of felt like the linebacker room has shown some promise here.
Yeah.
And so I'm now maybe these guys. I know Vigil is a linebacker, but I know we'll think about the others and see, because there's been some guys that I've looked at, Muhammad and those guys who were playing in 3-4 or odd fronts, and they were more like kind of stand-up guys, like playing as outside linebacker guys. So I'll just have to give it a little bit of a look today, as like I say, after I get off the show with you guys, and then make a determination like, okay, these are where these guys fit. But it is an unusual combination, because I thought the room that they're adding to has been pretty good so far.
I'll outside of just the players themselves, because like you said, you're going to watch the tape on them today.
Yeah.
Would you say, does it give you any pause, or does a thought creep into your head at all of just like, is Eric Kendrick's back totally okay if they're signing 2 linebackers?
Yeah, he's practicing. I think they've got him on kind of a rotational system.
Pitch count, if you will.
Yeah, pitch count a little bit. But they're trying to get, the way they're playing their linebackers is they're trying to give all their guys some look, and it even goes down to, it's funny because I was talking to some guys last night at the media party. Willie Harvey's getting a lot of play. He's actually getting play with the ones, and then he normally works with. He started off, of course, with threes, and now he's was working as a 2, and then was now working with the ones a little bit. So, they move Parsons around. Parsons is playing edge. You do see him playing off-ball linebacker when they really need to get a stop. They play him really as an off-ball linebacker and kind of move him around in order to try and stop the offense from converting. But then, Overshown gets work. Clark gets a lot of work. I mentioned Luafau. Damian Wilson, the veteran, he gets a lot of work, with Kendricks as well. So every one of their linebackers sees time on the field. And that's why I kind of felt like, well, man, this is a group that's not struggling, and here they are adding some guys to it. So, maybe they see something a little bit differently than we all everybody here on the fields have.
All right, so what else happened at practice?
Please don't do that question to me.
Brian,
please don't do that question.
Who most impressed you at practice?
No, serious. Serious. Please don't do that question. You got something in mind you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Because I'll do this. I did this to Ben and Skin one time. They asked me that question, and I took the roster and went down every single player that I watched, and then never got another question in.
Let me ask you this then. Do you feel with the very limited, because we've had 2 padded practices?
No, they've had 4 now? They've had 4, I think.
In full pads?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they've had a lot of practices.
Because they had 2 after we left.
Yeah, they've had some physical practices. That blue-white scrimmage that thing went 2.5 hours. So what position are you looking at, or player you're talking
about?
Well,
I've always been
They've been really good practices. Coach has done a really good job of trying to make them physical.
My question is would be, because with the change in defense with Zimmer and everything, has there been miscommunication in the secondary at all?
Not at all.
Good.
Not at all. See, that's the thing about it. Zimmer's not going to play you if you're not very smart. That's the thing. And I'm not saying making fun of people that aren't smart. I'm just saying that because I'm one of them. But the thing about it is, you talk to these players, they will tell you that they do a lot of disguise. The receivers will tell you that it's hard to run routes against the disguise they have. The quarterbacks, it's been a challenge for these guys. But there's been when they've had busts or open receivers. Generally, it's because of really good offensive design. Whether it's they got called for a pick yesterday. Turpin got called. They had a touchdown down in the red zone, tight red zone, and it was called it was on the field. It was a touchdown, and then there was a flag for they ran a pick to make sure they got it clean. So they've been practicing trying to get these receivers open, against the secondary, and I think the secondary's done a pretty darn good job.
Brian, I guess this is a little broad, but when you look at the way they practiced the first couple days and you saw the rotations that they were running in different positions, are you noticing in the last couple of practices any trends that kind of pique your interest? Like you mentioned, Willie Harvey getting some run with the ones. Have you noticed anybody kind of working their way up and making you go, oh, this is something interesting to take note of in terms of the rotations?
Yeah, I think that Kalen Carson, the rookie from Wake Forest, is getting a lot of work. What's funny is they've had the secondary, Eric Scott, who wasn't drafted by this current defensive staff, who was really a player that was coveted by the previous defensive staff. He's getting a lot of work with the twos. They're kind of working Diggs back in slowly. Diggs might take in the 7-on-7 period, which is a passing period, all pass. They're putting Diggs in there for like 4 or 5 plays, and then they take him out and kind of see how he is. But you're seeing a lot more of the rotation of the corners to his side. Nashawn Wright has been the starter over at right corner, and then behind him, then you see the Eric Scotts and the Josh Butlers, and then also they've found a way to incorporate some others over there as well. I mean, Jordan Lewis has done a really nice job in the slot. And he seems like that he's taken that role, pretty handedly there. I kind of felt like that maybe that Carson, who's playing well, would play more on the outside, and then maybe we could see Bland play a little bit more. But Jordan Lewis is not giving that job up at all.
Broaddus, we asked Nick Harris yesterday, the 53rd man right now. Who would you put?
Wow. That's a really good question, and it might be a wide receiver. And the reason I say that is you need to figure out what you're going to do with Jalen Cropper because what's happened in these practices is that Jalen Cropper, and if you're watching clips, he wears number 16, and he's the one that every time that they need a play, whether it's okay, 4th and 3, and here's Cropper running a crossing route, and Dak will throw him the ball, or Cooper Rush will throw him the ball, and then he gets down in the tight red zone, and then all of a sudden he's making plays down in the red zone, getting touchdowns there. He's a really good route runner. He's not the biggest guy, but he's one of those guys that finds ways to get open. He securely catches the football. He catches it well on the move. He could separate. So they've got to figure out, though, are they going to carry 5 wide receivers or 6 wide receivers? And he might be the last guy.
All right, Brian, so we know sensitive information flows throughout that party. You can't share any of it. What happens at Nobu stays at Nobu. We know all that. But
right.
Given last night, could you just indicate to us, did you hear some things that definitely piqued your interest? Did some words get whispered around there that made you go, "Oh, okay"?
Well, I got a good dap up from Jerry. Jerry gave me the dap.
Hey,
and so that was. But yeah, you know how that goes, Bobby. That party. Well, have you been, Bobby? Matter of fact, you haven't been in a while.
He's never been.
I've never been.
Okay,
I skip it every time.
Everybody, Choppy knows the setting. He could talk about that. Everybody kind of crowds around Jerry at the beginning of the party, and then everybody crowds around Steven at the end of the party.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you can gain some information there. Jerry's always talking some wisdom things, but it's one of those things you kind of get. Maybe you have some questions about why, and they kind of give you the why from their perspective without allowing you to be able to, you don't want to talk about it. You're not really allowed to talk about it in that setting. But they do try and set you straight if they can.
Bryan Broaddus, we appreciate you. You're a trooper. I think you're going to enjoy your tape studies today. I think you're going to like some of what you see from
my
these guys.
Apologies to you guys for not having that ready. But, yeah, we had to go immediately from here, from my show to – get ready to go out there, and it was a very, very nice event.
No. I knew you hadn't seen him yet. That's why we're just kind of generically asking you what you thought of what it might imply for the roster. But I think, like I said, I think you'll be intrigued by at least some of these skill sets there, especially from the linebackers. So enjoy the tape study.
Appreciate
Brian,
that.
we appreciate you as always.
Right.
And check your email because I'm going to send you that list I told you about yesterday.
Oh, I appreciate that too. Thank you, Robert. Thank you.